Yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I know we've placed all of you all on mute because we are a large number here. You could always respond through chat. Yeah, we'll wait for a couple of minutes before, we start.
Rajeshwari, I think Ganga Devi ma'am has raised her hand.
I've asked to unmute. Ganga ma'am, you can post it on the chat or you can unmute. Okay, I think it's time for us to start. A very warm welcome to each one of you. I'm Rajeshwari from Stones to My Stones. I'm sure you know me because we met during the orientation. And today we have with us Mr. Bhanu. And Bhanu sir, this is the first masterclass for the Nisa schools, and we are very excited to have you with us. And let me quickly introduce Mr. Bhanu for you all. Yes. So Bhanu sir boasts over 8 years of vibrant experience in English language teaching. Bhanu sir is a powerhouse of knowledge in academic consulting, teacher training, and innovative curriculum design. As a certified ELT trainer and a teaching assistant of communicative English at Amity University, Gurgaon, Bhanu sir stands out for his dynamic involvement with leading edtech companies. He has led more than 1,500 workshops, both in person and online, energizing and inspiring teachers across India. Bhanu sir is at the forefront of exploring exciting areas like translanguaging and multilingualism in ELT. Beyond his teaching and training, Bhanu sir has made his mark as an author, contributing a valuable book to the field. He also boasts over 5 research papers published in renowned international journals, showcasing his profound engagement with cutting-edge academic research. His dual role as an academician and a hands-on teacher trainer allows him to share cutting-edge insights and practical wisdom with fellow educators, making a significant impact in the world of English language teaching. And so today we are very grateful to have you with us. We have teachers from the north, from the south. I think just like your experience of working with teachers all over India, in this room we have teachers from north and south of India. So welcome everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Rajeshwari. Good evening to all the teachers. First of all, thank you so much for sparing time on what might be a busy day for most of you, considering that it's a Friday and most of you might be just back from school. Some of you might be just sipping your first cup of tea or coffee. Despite that, all of you have gathered here to sort of, engage in this learning experience for the next 60, 65, 70 odd minutes. My first request would be, of course, if you are in a comfortable position, teachers, if you could turn your video on, I would be truly, truly grateful to you. Thank you, Manju ma'am, for keeping a video on. Gurjeet ma'am, thank you so much for keeping a video on. Shweta ma'am, thank you so much. Shivani ma'am, Nidhi ma'am, Anjali ma'am, Somanjeet ma'am, thank you so much. Sonia ma'am, right? Prachi ma'am as well. Thank you so much. Great. I hope my voice is audible. And without wasting much time, I want to just pour my gratitude to all of you for sparing time on a busy day. I will not bore you for long. I promise to keep this session crisp, short, but because there's a lot of participants joining in, it could be pretty much like a monologue from my end where I do most of the talking. But I would request you to constantly keep the chat box buzzing, where whatever questions you might have, keep on putting it in the chat box. And towards the end of the session, what we'll do is we'll have a Q&A time where you can specifically ask a couple of questions, and then we can see how we can answer to that. We'll assure you that your time would be sort of taken care of, and we all intend to learn something interesting today. Perfect. Rajeshwari, is my voice audible? Just want to confirm once. Teachers, give me a thumbs up if my audio is perfectly fine. Thank you so much.
Yes, Bhanu, yes.
Thank you, teachers. Thank you so much. Just give me a minute. Let me just share my screen. Wait. Perfect. So welcome. It's the 9th of February, and all of us are assembled here on a masterclass on understanding comprehension, mastering effective comprehension skills. I have had the honor of working with a couple of NISA schools, in the northern part of India, of course, and I'm sure some of the teachers that I might have personally met and worked with are also present in this session. So, to all the teachers alike, welcome once again. Rajeshwari was kind enough to give a very detailed and a very boastful introduction of me. But like I always say, we all have academic accolades with us. That is not something that I like to identify myself as or introduce myself as. On the extreme right hand side of my screen, there are two phrases or two words or phrases that I have written. And these are the two words with which I want to introduce myself. Who am I? I am a multilingual individual, which basically means that I know how to speak, read, and write in 5 languages. I can speak almost around 12 to 13 dialects. And I am a round roti maker, which basically is something that my mom has very, very happily certified me. I make the roundest roti in my family, and rounder than my dad, my brother, my elder sister. And this is something that my mom has kind of given me an accreditation, and I'm very proud of it. So, who is your trainer today? Your trainer is Mr. Bhanu, who is a multilingual individual and who is a round roti maker, right? So let's hold on to that. And perfect. So before we even start this sort of large gathering webinar that we have with teachers from across India, here are certain norms that I would like to set so that we make the most out of our time today, right? The first norm is, let this be a two-way interaction. If I would have wanted it, I could have recorded a video and shared it with you, right? I can see Kavaljit ma'am smiling very happily. Thank you so much, Kavaljit ma'am. Very nice to see you here again, right? So the fact that we are having this webinar today is because there are certain things that we wish to learn. There are certain things that I wish to learn from all of you. So let there be a two-way interaction. So keep the chat buzzing, right? I'll try to read as many chats as possible, but that is the level of engagement that I want from all of you. Second, connect. When I say connect at two levels, right? The first level of connection is something that you make to your own professional self. All of us are educators here, right? Let's try to connect our learning to how we perceive ourselves as educators. How do I use the knowledge that I get today in my career or in my professional life? Second, connect to your classroom. Say you might be a grade 5 teacher, you might be a grade 1 teacher, you might be a pre-primary teacher, you might be a maths teacher, you might be an EVS teacher, you might be a social science teacher, right? But my request is connect this back to your classrooms. A lot of what I might say might not even make sense for certain teachers, which is absolutely okay, right? My expectation from today's webinar and the first masterclass is not 100% retention. I expect you to retain 50% of the information, and I expect you to use 20% of this in your classroom. So tomorrow when you step into your class, if you can use 20% of what you learned today, only 20%, I will feel that together all of our time, being here, us spending so much time was like worth it. The third norm for today's session that I would like to put is be curious. I know a lot of us come with tremendous years of experience. I have nothing but gratitude for all of you. Some of us might be new teachers. Some of us might have taught for almost 35, 40 years. Some of us might have taught for 5, 10 years. Some of us, this could be the first year of our teaching career, right? We are all in different timelines in our teaching journey. Let's be curious. Let's ask a lot of questions to ourselves. Let's be reflective. Let's be ready to unlearn a couple of things, right? Which leads us to asking a lot of questions, right? So ask a lot of questions, park your questions. We'll try to answer as much as possible, right? But at the end of this session, what I want to achieve are the learning objectives that I have outlined for the both of us, which basically I'll come to the learning objective parts. So a quick way to getting to know each other. I like to call this icebreaker, different weather, different mood. So I request all of you to now go to the chat box and put the mood that you are currently in, right? I want you to resonate your mood to a weather that you personally connect with. For example, I am in a very sunny weather mood because I'm very happy, I'm very energetic, I'm very alive, and I'm ready to take this session, right? So the sunny weather is something that I resonate my current mood with. Some of you might be feeling sleepy. That is also absolutely okay, right? You might just say, hey, I'm resonating with the rainy weather because I'm feeling a little sleepy, right? That is also all right. So Bhavna ma'am says, curious to learn something new. Okay, curious, sunny weather, cold weather. Sejal ma'am says cold weather. Happy, curious, sunny, ready to learn. Okay, excited to know more. I like the energy that is coming in the chat room. Amazing. Like connect it to a weather, right? Cold, sunny. Okay. Excited. Okay, excited. And which weather are you connecting yourselves to? Kanika ma'am says sunny weather, rainy weather. So when you say rainy, is it rainy, damp, rainy weather, or rainy, joyful weather? Because rainy weather, I connect to something very joyful. I love the rain, right? But rainy could also be slightly damp. That is like not understandable. Great. Once again, teachers, amazing engagement in the chat box. I like to give a huge shout out to all the teachers, despite having such a long day. I think this is one of the rarest group that I have seen with so much engagement already. So I am extremely excited. Once again, thank you so much. For the teachers who are raising their hands, if you have any questions as such, you can keep on putting it in the chat box. But in the interest of time, I'm not taking questions as of now. We have a separate time for that, right? So let's move on. There are two very simple and specific learning outcomes that we are going to achieve today, right? We are not looking at 10, 15 learning outcomes, right? What I want you to walk out of this Zoom room is two specific learning outcomes. A, you should be able to analyze and interpret what comprehension skill is and how this is important for us to effectively communicate. Second, how do we use this skill in our day-to-day teaching? Which means we'll understand that how can I teach this skill of comprehension to my students as well? Be again, like I said, is it only limited to English language teaching? No, right? This comprehension as a skill is applicable across subjects. So that is what I expect to leave you all by the end of the day. A strong knowledge of what is comprehension, and second, tips and tricks to help your children in answering these comprehension questions. Fair enough? Give me a thumbs up if you are ready to move. I can see a lot of teachers who have kept their videos on. Give me a thumbs up. I want to see a couple of thumbs up. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Great. All of us have heard of Bloom's taxonomy. We teacher trainers love to use the term Bloom's taxonomy every now and then, right? Bloom's is a foundation of a lot of a lot of learning or the outcomes that we create. Similar to Bloom's taxonomy is Defink's taxonomy of significant learning. Now, Defink's taxonomy of significant learning talks about how humans process information, be it a child or be it an adult. We process information in three levels. First, we comprehend, then we interpret, then we synthesize. We will not talk a lot about synthesis today, but in today's webinar, we will talk in depth about what is comprehension and a little bit about what is interpretation, because these are interlinked, right? Let's move on then. Now, before I talk about comprehension, types of comprehension, tips and tricks about how can we teach comprehension skills to our students, I want you all to put it in the chat box. What is your understanding of comprehension? When Bhanu sir says the word comprehension to you all, what do you understand? What comes to your mind? Put it in the chat box, a word, a sentence, whatever comes to your mind. Alekhya ma'am says, understand and answer. Wow, absolutely. Scanning. Kuljit ma'am says scanning. How can we scan something to understand something? Okay. Okay. Read and answer. I think Shivani ma'am is an English teacher. She's like, read a passage and answer. A lot of information to understand and answer. Read, understand, answer. How do you take things? How do you take things? What you understand? Okay. Okay. Understand and take answer. Reading a passage, understanding its meaning. Bhavna ma'am is definitely an English teacher. Bhavna ma'am, I loved your answer. Thank you so much. Right? Mental ability to answer something, read and choose correct answer. Okay, okay, okay. Read carefully, think and answer. Read, understand and answer. Ability to understand something. Okay. Bhavi Reddy said that. Bhavi Reddy ma'am, thank you so much. MR. Acha, there's a school name. So detailing and giving information about any topic. Yes, correct. Absolutely right. I'm very, very happy to see that you are already aware of what is comprehension. And this gives me so much confidence that we are going to delve deeper into understanding comprehension. So most of you are correct, whatever you said. The ability to understand and make meaning of any information is comprehension. As simple as that, right? I am saying something, all of you are comprehending me right now. As I'm speaking, right, all of you are comprehending what I'm saying, right? If I start speaking in a foreign language altogether, then you might not be able to comprehend me, right? If I say es importante para mí, and all of you will be like, okay, what is sir saying, right? What you are doing currently is comprehending me, right? When we listen, we comprehend. When we read, we comprehend. So the ability to understand something and make meaning of that information is comprehension. Very simple, right? Great. Let's move on. Now, what do we as educators comprehend every day, right? Why are you part of this training today? Do you even comprehend something, right? Is comprehension happening at your level, right? Think about your role as a teacher. What do you comprehend? What do you have to comprehend on an everyday basis? I want you to put that in the chat box, right? What do you comprehend? What information do you comprehend? When you said that this is what comprehension is, okay, Hima ma'am said we comprehend our children. Okay, okay, our students, to understand students better. Shikha ma'am says that. Yes, yes. Our children, think from a how do I call it? Very, very practical point of view, right? You enter school at 9. Where is Anjali ma'am? Anjali ma'am, Anjali ma'am. No, Priyanka ma'am. Priyanka Sharma ma'am. What an answer. You said we comprehend answers that our students write. Absolutely correct. I want to give a huge shout out to Priyanka Sharma ma'am for giving this answer, right? Absolutely, right? We understand the responses that our students give. Very true. We interact with our students and colleagues, understand the level of students learning, correct. We try to comprehend. If our students have Rakesh Sharma sir, Rakesh sir, brilliant answer. Yes, correct, right? Our students to make children independent, to develop critical thinking, better understanding. I comprehend between the lines and interpret. Pushpa ma'am, I like it. I like your response. The subject on hand and how to make students comprehend that. Rajesh sir, lovely response. Try to know meaning of hard and new words of comprehension to encourage in understanding something. Situation that children face and their problems. To understand students, we comprehend the need of the students. Correct. Absolutely correct. And once again, I'm loving the responses that are coming in the chat box. This tells me that all of you are very much present in the webinar today. Like, hold on to it. I have categorized what we comprehend into two simple buckets. On the left hand side, we comprehend a lot of student needs, which most of you said, lesson plans, textbook, assessments, resources, notices, circulars that come to us. We need to comprehend that. A lot of comprehension also happens at the communication level that we do with parents, with peers, right? Our principal has sent us a notice. We need to comprehend that, right? Maybe there's a inter-school football competition happening. A notice has come in. I need to comprehend that. My students will have to comprehend that information, right? And then see whether they want to attend it or not. So a lot of physical things like responses that comes from children, assessments, textbooks, lesson plans, resources, notice, circular is what we are comprehending as an educator. We are also comprehending a lot of verbal and non-verbal communication, right? That happens with parents, with children, with peers, right? So comprehension as a educator happens at two different levels. One, very practical, and that these were the responses that I was actually liking, right, when all of you were coming up with this, right? And then there is verbal and non-verbal communication that is happening. Now think about your students, right? For the next 30 seconds, wear the shoe or wear the hat of a student and think about your time in the school from 9 in the morning till 3:30 in the evening. What do you have to comprehend? What do students have to comprehend? Can you put it in the chat box? Right? What do students comprehend? Students comprehend doubts. Okay. Classwork, homework, peer pressure, teacher's mood. Bhavna ma'am, I like your response. Yes, absolutely. They are also comprehending students, teacher's mood, right? Ki, how is my teacher feeling today? Pressure. Oh my God. I just hope students are not under pressure. Complaints, number of doubts, teacher's behavior, understanding of all the concept, all the subjects. Seema ma'am, right? Right, teacher's instruction, somebody said teacher's instruction. Shalini Prasad ma'am, I like this response. Yes, they are comprehending the instruction that teachers are giving. Content, ambience, non-academic stuff, absolutely. Stories or an article, yes, very practical response, right? They're kind of comprehending that. Yes. Homework, assessments, yes. Classwork, academics. Anjali Garg ma'am said they comprehend their peer pressure, classwork, homework, where their pencil and eraser is. Yes, correct. I like how as teachers, as educators, we have so much of content with us. I really like the response. Thank you so much to all the teachers for pouring in your inputs, right? Student behavior, right? This is true, right? Homework, communication, yes. Student behavior. Think more. I would like to give you a little bit of more time, right? Let's take another 30 seconds, right? There are activities, there are homework, yes, absolutely. What else, like, do children comprehend? I'm just waiting for that one response. Making new words. What is something that children need to comprehend that they don't like comprehending? Social behavior and doubt, communication, class activities, enthusiasm. Yes. Timetable. Yes, very practical response, right? Timetable, activities and homework. Ramandeep ma'am, yes, right. Conversation with friends, yes. Content, reading, yes. Learning new things. I think you're just getting there. Syllabus, yes. What else? What is something that they don't like? uh, but they need to comprehend these questions. Exams, absolutely. That was the response I was waiting for, right? And then this is true, right? When a student comes to a school, student needs to comprehend a lot of things, right? The first thing that a child comprehends is instruction from teachers. We all are teachers of different subjects, different grades. We give a lot of instruction to our children. The children need to comprehend this. Second, they comprehend textbook and reading materials, right? They have their textbook, they need to read. There are reading materials, they need to read that and then understand its meaning, right? They're comprehending that. Then there is the most feared, students don't like it, right? Exams or assessment, like we call it. Assessment questions are something that children don't like, but they need to comprehend this. Then there are notices, schedules, digital platform, and all the information coming in the digital platform, feedback, grades. I hope teachers that you have a notebook and a pencil with you that you're taking note of, like, as I speak, right? But the reason why there is a child in the center who is not very happy is because this is a reality that children need to comprehend a lot of things. And a child that cannot comprehend is often labeled as a child who is a little dull. As simple as that, right? If a child is not able to comprehend all the 10, 15 things happening around him or her, we often say, oh, this child is not the brightest of the student that I have met, right? But the reality is, have we equipped children with the right skills of comprehension? And like I said at the very beginning, why is comprehension so important? Because if today our children learn the skill of comprehension, be it any subject that they will pursue in the future, right? Be it science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right? All information needs to be comprehended, and hence comprehension becomes such a useful and an important skill today, right? In fact, the new education policy, the national curriculum framework talks so much about it talks so much about teaching the skill of comprehension to children, right? Teaching critical thinking skills, competency based assessment, asking these this critical thinking or inferential comprehension questions to our children, which is what I'm coming to, right? But in simple words, if today as teachers we are successful in teaching children the skill of comprehension, this will help them succeed, in the future, right? Let's move on. So, like I said at the beginning of this webinar, this is not just about reading comprehension, right? When I say comprehension today, I'm not only talking about reading comprehension, but comprehension in general, right? So, comprehension in general can be categorized into four different sections: literal, inferential, critical, and evaluative. Now, in today's webinar, we will not talk a lot about critical and evaluative, right? Rather, we'll focus a lot on understanding what is literal comprehension and understanding what is inferential comprehension. Once we have an understanding of this, we will also discuss tips and tricks that we can use to teach our children how to comprehend literally and how to infer and comprehend better, right? How to, like, the skill of inferential comprehension, correct? So stay with me. We will do a special focus on inferential comprehension, because the reality is that our children are not very comfortable when it comes to, inferential comprehension. Let's move ahead. What is literal comprehension? Literal comprehension refers to the understanding of explicit or stated meaning of a text or speech, including facts, details, events, etc. If you look at the picture, right, and what is written here? What is the mouse wearing? This is a literal comprehension question. What could be the response to this, teachers? You have seen the picture. The question is, what is the mouse wearing? What is the mouse wearing? What would be the response? A cardigan. Yeah, a cardigan, a sweater. Absolutely right. The mouse is wearing a sweater, right? Right. So it's a literal question, which basically means that the answer is right there in the picture. So our children are fairly comfortable answering literal comprehension questions. Am I saying that literal comprehension questions are not important? No, I'm saying they're equally important, but inferential comprehension questions are questions which will make children critically think and which will give them the skill of thinking critically, right? And that is what we want to build in children. So let's understand literal comprehension. We all must have seen textbooks, right, of English mostly, where there is a story and there are questions, right? So the lost necklace, on the left hand side of the page, we see the story, and on the right hand side of the page, we see questions, right? I want you all to take a minute and just read the questions that are given here. I request teachers not to annotate if possible. I know it might have happened by mistake. Felicita or Rajeshwari, if you can remove the annotation, right? I want you all to take a minute, right, and just read the questions and tell me if these questions are literal or they are something else, right? I know I have not spoken about inferential yet, but I want you to read. right? I hope you are silently reading it. Let me read it aloud for you. What did Maria find on her way home from school? Where did Maria decide to take the necklace? What action did Maria's parents suggest to find the necklace's owner? How long was it before someone claimed the necklace? How did the woman say she lost the necklace? Right? Are this literal comprehension question? Yes, literal, right? Absolutely. These are literal comprehension questions. All the questions are literal comprehension question. Now, literal comprehension question, what does literal comprehension question test? Right? It tests recalling as a skill, which means if a child can recall information, the child will be able to answer these questions. They mostly sort of answer what the main idea of a story is, or details in a story, or sequence of events in a story, and they mostly answer factual question, which means that if there is a literal comprehension question, the answers are already available in the text that we are kind of reading. Now, how can we enhance literal comprehension skills in students? There are a lot of ways to do this, but four very common way of enhancing literal comprehension skill in student is the directed reading or thinking activity. What we do is teachers guide students on how to read a text. We are already doing this. I'm sure all of us, right? We are already doing this. Even if we are a science teacher, a social teacher, we always guide students on how to read a text, right? This is called directed reading or thinking, right? Second is questioning. We love doing this, right? Okay, last bench students, stand up. You tell me, what did you understand from this? Questioning, right? What, why, how? It's a brilliant skill, right? This way, children will be able to comprehend, right? This is there. The other way of comprehending is repeated reading. Remember when you send students home and say, okay, read this twice or three times or four times and come back, you'll be able to understand this. What are we doing? We are actually asking children to do repeated reading, right? Then there is focused reading. Focused reading is a skill where children don't read the entire text, but focus on certain headings, subheadings, certain portion of the text, and that's how they literally comprehend, right? So this was about literal comprehension. Reality is that in the education sector in India, we have grown up teaching subjects, teaching English, teaching science, teaching EVS by employing literal comprehension skills, right? All these tricks and tips that I'm talking about, we are already doing it. But the elephant in the room and the difficult comprehension is the inferential comprehension. So let's try to understand, teachers, right? What is inferential comprehension question? Why is this a challenge? And how can we solve it, right? So the remaining 30-35 minutes of today's webinar is going to specifically focus on what inferential comprehension is. Now, if you look at the screen closely, to explain what literal comprehension is, I have put a picture where there's a husband and there's a wife, right? So the husband says, "Do you mind if I go out with my friends?" And the wife says, "Yeah, sure, you can go." Now the husband has to infer that "yeah, sure" could mean anything. "Yeah, sure" could mean ki you go, come back and we'll talk, right? Or "yeah, sure" could be "yeah, sure, you can go. I'm also going out with my friends. You go every day," right? So this is what inferential comprehension is. Inferential comprehension requires us to read between the lines. It requires us to find clues. It requires us to make assumption. Okay, last week when I had gone out to meet my friends and I had come home really late, how did my wife react, right? I need to make assumption, and then I need to know that if my wife says yes sure, what does it mean, right? So literal inferential comprehension is not direct, right? It's not about what was the mouse wearing, what was the lion wearing, what was the lion doing, right? Not direct literal question. Inferential question requires us to think deep. It requires us to use clues from the text, make assumption, and then find the implied meaning. Let us understand this in detail, right? As you can see on the right hand side, I have put an icon of a detective. So when I want my children to answer inferential comprehension question, I want them to be a detective, where they need to read between the lines, they need to understand what is the implied meaning and so, right? There's a very simple text that I have chosen. The text goes like this, right? And please pay attention. Despite the sunny weather, Julia carried an umbrella. She glanced at the sky, remembering the sudden downpour last week that had caught her off guard. Now, a direct or a literal comprehension question could be, how was the weather? The answer is, the weather was sunny. What did Julia carry? Right? Julia carried an umbrella. Literal comprehension question. Inferential comprehension questions are, why did Julia decide to carry an umbrella on a sunny day? Right? Now, children will have to think, right? What prompted Julia to carry an umbrella on a sunny day? Or what previous experience do you think influenced her decision? Right? They need to read between the lines to be able to answer this. And the reality is, the moment we ask such questions, what do students tell us? Ma'am, this is out of syllabus. Sir, no, this question is tough. Right? No. Even the best of the students will come and tell you, no, ma'am, you have to give me grace mark. This question was not there in the textbook. Right? So when children come back and tell us this, what it essentially tells us is that we have not taught children the skill of attempting these questions. And 2024 is a year where we are gone are those days when we would only ask, define or write short notes on the following, and then there would be 10 words, and in this 10 words we used to write short notes, right? All the IIT JEE papers, if you see, or all competitive exams papers that you see, have started asking inferential comprehension questions. They have started asking application based questions where children will have to read, understand, and then like an answer. And that is why we are having this masterclass today, so that when you all step into the classroom tomorrow, you learn these tricks of A, exposing children to inferential comprehension questions, and B, teaching tricks and tips to actually answer these. So let's look at, again, like I said, is inferential comprehension only limited to English language classroom? Right? I'm an English teacher. Am I only teaching comprehension? No. Right? Even in science, even in social, even in EVS, even as a pre-primary teacher, even as a Hindi teacher, even as a Telugu teacher, I am teaching children the art of comprehension. Right? What could be some of the inferential comprehension question from other subjects? For example, why might leaves be green in the spring and summer, but not in autumn? Which topic are we touching here? Any science teachers? I know it's a very tough inferential question that I'm asking, right? Why might leaves be green in spring and summer, but not in autumn? What is the topic that we might try to? Season, okay, season could be a topic. Photosynthesis, okay. Weather. Absolutely right. I think it is mostly chlorophyll, right? The chlorophyll is the topic that we are trying to teach, where children will have to answer why the color of a leaf is green in certain weather, and in certain weather it's not, in certain season it's not. For example, what can be inferred about the role of sunlight in the color of leaves, right? What role does sunlight play in like, sort of defining the color of leaves? So what I'm trying to establish by showing you this slide is that don't don't come to the conclusion that, okay, this webinar is only going to help me if I'm an English teacher. No, our children are comprehending even if they are learning EVS, even when they're learning science, even when they're learning social, right? So it's important for us to understand what is the reality. Now there's this company or an organization called ETS is the organization that designs IELTS question papers. Now ETS has come up with this survey or this study that said that Indian students and Indian adults, we both score the lowest when it comes to answering inferential comprehension question. But we are also one of the top performers when it comes to answering literal comprehension question. I can guarantee this to you all, right? To all the 641 participants who have joined today. If this was an offline session, and if I would have given you one unseen passage and given you 10 questions, that you would have attempted it like this. We have learned the skill of answering unseen passages as long as the questions are literal. We will not even read the passage. We will directly go and find keywords and then find the answer. We are great at it, right? But and so is the case with our students. But the reality is that when it comes to comprehending inference based questions, our students are really struggling, and that is what we need to A, acknowledge, and B, solve. So put a yes in the chat box if you ever had any such student who was really good when it came to answering literal comprehension question, but the same student struggled the moment you changed the question and you gave inferential comprehension question? If you have ever met such students, right, put a yes. Thank you so much. Yes, right. We all have met students, right? Best of the students, right, really struggle, and like I said, they come back to us and they're all furious. They're like, no ma'am, you, this question is out of syllabus, you should not have asked this question. I lost 1 mark because of this, I lost 5 marks because of this, right? Now, what I have pasted here is a text excerpt from a very famous publisher. I'm not going to name the publisher, but this is 2024 publication, and this was the question that was there in the English textbook. This is grade 4 core English textbook where there is a story, and this was from one of my neighbor's child's bag that I found this English book, and I just clicked a picture, and I wanted to show you all in this webinar today, right? What has the child done? The child has very nicely underlined and they annotated the answer to questions, right? When I went to the next page, I was surprised to see that all the 5 questions, right? All the 5 questions that were asked in a grade 4 English textbook, right? You read the question and tell me whether these are literal comprehension question or inferential comprehension question, right? Read the text, read the questions once. Literal, right? Yes, literal. All 5 comprehension question asked in 2024 from a very renowned publisher, like all these are literal comprehension question, and this is exactly what the challenge is, right? This is worrisome because we cannot say our children don't know how to do it, right? This is the $1,000,000 question. If inferential comprehension question is a real problem, how can students overcome this problem? The first and the foremost thing to do is acknowledge that we have not given our children enough content to engage with from which they can actually answer inferential comprehension question, right? We need to question ourselves. How often do I ask inferential comprehension question to my students in the classroom, right? And like, let's be honest, right? We all like to ask questions, the answer of which will come to us very easily, right? We also don't like asking questions where children are just scratching their head and they're like, oh my god, right? We love asking question when we know that students will be able to answer. But let's try to see how can children answer comprehension question. The strategy that I like to call, or I like to introduce you all to, is called the race strategy. Imagine there is a comprehension, there is an inferential comprehension question, right? A question which is not very easy to answer, right? But the immediate instinct of a child is, for example, if that question has come in an exam, the child will say, let me not answer this question, let me leave this blank, and let me go to maybe fill up the blanks or match the following or label the picture, or all the literal comprehension question. What is chlorophyll? What is carbohydrate? How many types of organ systems are there? All these questions that I need to recall, right? The first instinct of a child is leave this question, correct? So first we need to teach children how to attempt these inferential comprehension questions. I know a lot of teachers are also raising their hands. Teachers, I'll take your questions at the end, don't worry, right? For now, let's cover this strategy. Like I said, in the excerpt that I had shown, right, one of the inferential comprehension question was, why did Julia carry an umbrella despite the weather being sunny? Correct, right? It's a inferential comprehension question. The answer to this question is not given in the text. What do students need to do? First, students need to restate the question. When I say restate the question, they need to think, how else can I reframe this question without changing it? The R of the race strategy is reframe the question, but don't change the question, right? Reframe the question without changing it. So what prompted Julia to carry an umbrella on a sunny sort of day? I can rethink the question as, why did Julia carry an umbrella? It was sunny, right? Let the student rethink it, right? That is what rethinking and restating the question is. The A of the race strategy is, now answer the question. Now, whatever comes to the student's mind, let the student write, right? The student might just think, okay, Julia carried an umbrella because she loves umbrellas, right? That is the first answer that came to the child. That's okay. Let the student write that, right? So the R is restating the question, A is answering whatever comes to your mind, right? Then comes C, which is the most important part of the race strategy. The C is now cite evidence. Now you need to look for evidence that supports your answer. If you have written that Julia carries umbrella because she loves umbrellas, now is there anything in the text that says or that talks about Julia's love for umbrellas? Right? If there isn't, then I need to look for other evidences. Correct? And the last is E, which is explain, explain, and explain. In the first few months of you teaching children to answer inferential comprehension question, let children overwrite, no problem. Let them write, which might also seem very absurd to you that somebody has written a long answer to this, whatever the child has thought, it's okay. Let them overwrite, and once they learn the skill or once they gather the confidence of answering inferential comprehension question, what we can do is then we can teach them how to shorten these answers. We can then teach them how to sort of enhance these answers, how to edit these answers. But to start off with, like I said, that the real problem is that children don't know how to answer this inferential comprehension question, or children are really scared the moment we give them any inferential comprehension question. So let them write and let them overwrite. That is absolutely okay, right? So let me quickly summarize what is the race strategy, and I hope you are taking notes, right? Race strategy is a strategy which will help adults and children both in answering inferential comprehension question. What we need to do, it's an approach, right? The moment I see an inferential comprehension question, I need to restate the question. I need to then answer whatever comes to my mind. Then I need to be a detective and look for clues. What evidence do I have from the text that tells me that the answer that I've written is correct? And then finally, I need to explain, explain, and explain. Right? So that is pretty much what the race strategy is. I hope all of you are following. Please give me a thumbs up if you are with me. If you have not if you are not bored yet, right? So I know, right? But let's face it, like I said, in my capacity of working as a teacher, as a teacher trainer, as an academic advisor, I have seen this, that this is the reality, that children do struggle when it comes to answering inferential comprehension question. Now what we will do is, we will do a very quick activity. Sorry, I've written 10 minutes here, but we will not spend 10 minutes. We will spend 5 minutes in this silent reading activity. What we will do is, I'm going to, yeah, this is the right slide. So we will silently read one text for 5 minutes together. I know we are 600 plus people. It won't be possible for all of us to go into breakout rooms and do this activity. So what we will do is, in the next slide, I'm going to show you one very simple text. We are going to read that text and wear the hat of a teacher and pretend that we need to come up with 3 literal comprehension question and then 3 inferential comprehension question. Imagine that tomorrow is the exam, right? And you need to frame these questions for your children, right? So what we are going to do is, we are going to silently read the text for 5 minutes. Then we are going to think of 3 literal comprehension question, 3 inferential comprehension question, and then come back and in the chat share. Once I tell you, don't share in between, right? Once I tell you, then now you can share your best inferential comprehension question and best literal comprehension question. I hope my instructions are clear. Can anyone, or does anyone from this brilliant group want to volunteer and
Bano, we're not able to hear you. Hold on, teachers. I think he's going to log in again. Yeah, he got disconnected. So I think he's joining in a minute. Please give him a minute, teachers.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. This is what technology's downside is. Am I audible now, Rajeshwari? Am I audible?
Yes.
So, like, I'm really sorry. I'm in commute. I have a training tomorrow with the NISA group only. So I'm in Sirsa today, and I'm in a hotel room. I really apologize, but this is the downside of technology. On the one side, technology helps us reach so many people in different parts of this country. But again, the downside is sometimes when internet fluctuates, there's a power outage, then this happens. I apologize, but I hope you were able to follow the last instruction that I gave you, right, where we are going to do a silent reading activity. What I was saying is, can somebody repeat that instruction for me? I will do a special clap for a teacher who repeats that instruction for me. I for the teachers who know me, yes, Priyamda Thakur ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm able to hear you. Please.
Sir, the instructions which you have given us regarding the next activity which we are going to do, which is being there, and after that we are going to write on our notepads the three literal questions from the same comprehension passage and three inferential questions based
Correct.
on the same comprehension.
Correct. And then in the chat box, we'll come back and share
Yes,
the
with the
best.
best questions. Yes.
Absolutely. For Priyamda ma'am, we will do something called a butterfly clap. So I request everybody to just make a butterfly and then do the butterfly clap. No, Gautam sir, you are doing it wrong. Gautam sir is
Thank
doing
you.
it with this. No, sir. It's the other way around, right? So this is the butterfly clap where the butterfly needs to really fly, right? So
Thank you
yeah,
so much,
perfect.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Priyanka ma'am. So let me just share my screen. Thank you, Gautam sir, for being such a sport. Thank you so much. Right. Let me just share my screen again.
Bhanu sir, could you unmute?
Sorry. Yeah. So for the next 5 minutes, this is the text that we are going to engage with, right? The name of the text is The Secret Gift. Very simple text. Uh, uh, and let's try to come up with three literal comprehension question and three inferential comprehension question, right? The time is 5:54. Let's come back at 5. My math is not that great. 59. Yeah. 5:59 is when we'll come back. Please do not share it in the chat box for other teachers to I know, like, this happens that we feel like sharing our answers. Don't share your answers yet. Write it in your notebook, right? And when I'll tell you now, you can come forward and share. Then we will share our best inferential comprehension question and best literal comprehension question, right? All the best. Let's go. A couple minutes more. Okay, somebody has already started. No, my voice was not coming because I was not answering. I had kept myself on mute. Wait, teachers, Geetika ma'am, please wait. And I'll tell you when to share, right? But I'm loving the responses that are coming on the chat. Just wait for a while. Kavita ma'am, and I'll tell you when to share, teachers. Please just wait till 5:59, and in 5:59 is what, like, when we'll uh start sharing. Okay, I think the time is 5:57. All right. So now when you share in the chat box, together you share literal and comprehension, right? Don't share two separate questions. So share together that this is one literal comprehension question and this is one inferential comprehension question. Like, okay, let's start sharing. I feel that most of the teachers have already read it, and right. So Swati ma'am has said, what is the title of the story? Is the literal comprehension question. Who left the, okay, there are three that ma'am has shared. Okay. Lakshita ma'am said, Mr. Sharma, everyday what find? Okay. What was the name of the old lady in the chapter? Is the literal comprehension question. Suchi Sharma ma'am has said, what was the name of the lesson? What was the name of the old lady? When did the flowers come? What is the title of the story? I want to see some inferential comprehension questions. What could be some inferential comprehension question? Why did the child keep the flowers in front of the house? Right? Yes, Mamta ma'am. Uh, I like it. Inferential question. Why were flowers sent to Mrs. Sharma? Right? And not anything else. Right? It's a question that a child will have to think. Surya Prakash sir, I love this. In which type of house the lady lived? Who's bringing the flowers? Where does she live? Mrs. Sharma happy every morning. Okay. Preeti ma'am has said, why does the old lady feel the flowers are special? Inferential comprehension question, right? I like it. Thank you, Preeti ma'am. What was left on the door and why was this on the door? Yes, in a way, it's also an inferential comprehension question. Uh, okay. Literal. Yes, inferential. Bhavna ma'am says, write two adjectives for the girl. Yeah, in a way, this is also an inferential comprehension question. Yeah, we can say this. Why did the girl put flowers at Mrs. Sharma's door? What value have you learned from this story? Yes, thank you, ma'am. Why Geetika ma'am has asked a very simple question. Why was she so curious, right? Why was the old lady so curious? Yeah, very simple, but an inferential comprehension question. Uh, Yes, Monica Agarwal ma'am has asked an inferential comprehension question, which I want to read aloud, and I liked it. What do you think the flowers symbolize? Right? What is the symbolism of the flower? Children will have to think and write this. Yes, correct. There are a lot of responses. I will definitely ask Rajeshwari to kind of download the chat and share it with me later on so that I can go through this. But I really want to take a moment to thank all of you for reading the text and actually coming up with such beautiful inferential comprehension question, right? And that was what the purpose of this webinar was, that by the end of the webinar, I wanted you all to understand the difference between literal comprehension question and inferential comprehension question, right? And then start using this in your classroom whenever you ask questions, whenever you give questions during assessment, or whenever you give an instruction in the classroom, right? Let there be enough scope for inferential comprehension question. I'm stopping reading the chat now and just moving on to the next part, right? Where I want to talk about how can we enhance inferential comprehension skills in students, right? We have spoken about the strategy using which children will be able to answer inferential comprehension question. But as a teacher, what can I do on an everyday basis to enhance this skill, right? So what have we established? We have established that literal comprehension questions are questions that our students are very comfortable answering, or compared to inferential comprehension question, are at least more familiar with, right? That is what we have established. We have also established that study says that inferential comprehension questions are questions that our students really struggle with. We have also established that We have all grown up, like, learning or engaging with content by asking the what, why, how questions, right? And then we saw a text and we tried to infer meaning out of it. So, what are some tips that we as teachers can use to enhance inferential comprehension skills? A, ask open ended question. Don't worry about your students saying, ma'am, this is a very tough question. Ma'am, please ask easy questions, right? Make this a habit that in a classroom of 40 minutes, right, when you ask many questions to children, at least ask some question that will not have a yes or a no, right? An open ended question that might have multiple answers, right? So use this in your habit. Second, use think aloud strategy, right? Encourage children to discuss in groups, think and come back with an answer. it is not it is not necessary that students will have to answer immediately. Okay, a question has been asked, let me just answer it. Not needed, right? Let children think aloud. Let children be not scared of coming up with their own responses. The third is teach children the art of looking for clues, right? Let them be a detective. Let them look for clues and then answer. Fourth, connect text to personal experience. You have no idea the power of connection. The moment children or adult, they start connecting their learning with their own personal lives, or with a very contextual level of what they see around them, their learning automatically will get enhanced. Then visualize the text. Visualization is a skill which is going to solve 50% of the problem of literal or inferential comprehension question. Our children, if they can visualize what the text is saying, they'll be able to answer inferential comprehension question. Discuss prediction, right? Talk about, if not this, what could have happened. You use graphic organizers. Even today, right, till date, when I am faced with any topic that I need to brainstorm and come up with responses, I always use something called the geo or the mind map, right? Mind map, graphic organizers will always help in assimilating our thoughts. So teach children the art of using graphic organizer for coming up with inferential comprehension questions answers, right? Tell them you don't have to leave a question blank, right? Rather, in the side of your sort of notebook, try making some bubbles and try writing words whatever comes to your mind, and then frame simple sentences and write that as an answer. And then finally, and the most important thing is, let children practice with multiple text. Whenever you give children holiday homework, whenever you give children sort of maybe summer holidays, winter holidays, or any kind of text, ensure that you ask these questions and let children think and come back with response, right? So these are some tips and tricks. Now, what I will also do after this webinar is share with you all a handbook, right? A handbook which is designed to help you frame better inferential comprehension question. This is how the handbook will look like. In this handbook, what I have done is I have put some question prompts. Now, inferential comprehension questions can be drafted by using the who, what, when, where, why, how strategy also, right? So these are some examples of inferential comprehension question. In page number 2, I have put inferential comprehension question that do not start with what, why, how, right? For example, infer the reasons behind the character's sudden departure from the scene. Determine the significance of the recurring dream the protagonist experiences, right? And in the last page of this handbook, what I have done is I have kind of collated certain prompts using which you will be able to draft better inferential comprehension question. And I believe that this will help you the next time you go to a classroom and you think, you, Bhanu sir spoke so much about using inferential comprehension question, where do I start? This is where you can start off, right? You can use this as a handbook to ask better inferential comprehension question to your students. Correct? Give me a thumbs up if you are able to see what I I'm showing you in the screen, hopefully, right? So this will be shared with you in the form of a PDF. And the last slide of today's session, give me a minute. Just a before we come to the Q&A bit, right? The last slide that I want to talk to you about is also a beautiful quote, or you can say a beautiful thought that I had, and I just put it in, like, sort of the slide. The thought is this: that often we feel that our students don't understand complex text, but as teachers, what we need to ask ourselves is, have we truly anchored them with opportunities to navigate these challenging waters, right? Just saying that my students cannot answer comprehension questions that are inferential in nature is not the solution. What we need to truly ask ourselves is, have we given them enough opportunity? Have we taught them skills to answer these questions? If we have done it, then like, we have done a great job as a teacher, right? So I'm leaving you all with this thought only, right? And I want, like I said at the beginning of the session today, I really don't want 100% retention of the session. What I want is 50% retention, and 20% of what you have learned today, I want you all to use it in your classrooms, right? With that, the time is 6:08. We have exactly 7 minutes, right? 7 minutes with us to take any burning question that you might have. Thank you so much to all the teachers for being such brilliant participants. I know it was a 1 hour long monologue of me talking on and on, but I thoroughly enjoyed the responses that was kind of in the chat box, and I hope that, like, what I tried to kind of talk about, I could at least make you go back to your classroom with 20% of this, right? And if you are able to do this, like, sort of, then I will feel very, very successful. I'll feel that this masterclass was worth it. But yeah, the chat is open. I can see a lot of after a long time I heard your voice, Kamaljit ma'am. Thank you so much. Right, to all the teachers who are pouring in your gratitude, thank you so much. I can see a lot of Renu ma'am says thank you so much for the guidance. Renu ma'am, good to see you here again. Um, yes. Any question that you might have, you might want to just raise your hand and ask. Even that is okay. Looking forward.
Bhanu sir.
Bhanu sir, you're on mute.
Oh, I was on mute. I'm so sorry. Yeah,
Just
thank
now,
you.
just now.
Okay, just now. Okay, thank you so much.
We have two people who have raised their hands.
Yes, yes. Priyamta ma'am, like, I would love to take your question if this is a question that you have.
Good evening once again, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Sir, as you know that board exams are approaching, like for grade 10 as well as 12th also. And in both the classes, we are having the comprehension, 20 marks, it comes. So what tips and advices being their English teachers, we should give them to attempt these 20 marks questions? Because most of the times it happens with the kids, because some of the questions, they are so tricky. As you said, the inferential questions are there. So what, being their English teacher, what advice we should give them so that they can score like 20 on 20 on in these two questions? Yes, sir.
I wish I had that magic wand and I would just move around that wand and all our students would have scored 20 out of 20. But I think all the tips that we discussed today would somehow make sense. What I would, the number one trick that I would suggest to you is give them or expose them to as many unseen passages as possible, right? The more they practice, right, the more they'll actually be able to answer these, right? Remaining all the like, tips that we discussed, where, like, they need to make geos, where they need to visualize, where they should read between the lines, where they should look for clues, right? These are things that will apply. But the simplest request, teachers to be on mute, please. Yes, somebody has asked, is there an attendance link? Rajeshwari is going to share the attendance link very soon, right after we wrap it up at 6:15. I had my time till 6:15, so I have another 4 minutes. But Priyamda ma'am, I really acknowledge your concern for your students. And like I said, there are different tips and tricks that we discuss. But the number one tip is let them practice, right? Give them as
Yes.
much practice passages as possible. Tell them that you need to understand that these are different types of questions. The moment they are able to understand that these are literal comprehension question, these are inferential comprehension question, these questions require me to think, to read between the lines and answer, automatically 50% of your job is done. Your children will be able to score better. Yeah. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sunita ma'am. Thank you so much for
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
It is
sir.
very,
Thank you, sir.
Ranjit ma'am
Thank you,
has
it is
sir.
raised her
very,
hand.
it is very fruitful, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
sir.
sir.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Rajeshwari, I think what we can do now is
Thank you, sir.
stop the chat. Teachers,
Thank you
don't
so
leave
much, sir.
the
This is a
don't leave the
brilliant
room.
session.
Don't leave the room yet. I think what we
Uh,
can do is stop the chat and then put the
Bhanu sir, we
Rajeshwari.
don't, yeah,
Over
so
to
we've
you.
already taken the attendance through the
Okay,
registration link.
Perfect.
So you can take the time.
Oh, perfect. So once again, so much of gratitude coming in. If there are any questions beyond this webinar that you might have on comprehension, feel free to route it to us. And the moment it will come to me, I will be more than happy to answer this. So don't think that this webinar or this masterclass is the end of it, right? It does not end here. It's just the beginning of our learning curve that we will all be a part of, right? And thank you so much for your time. Over to you, Rajeshwari. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bhanu sir. I think it has been a wonderful session as usual. I'd just like to remind teachers, this time we had sent you all a registration link. So once you have registered and attended, automatically your attendance gets captured with us. So you don't need to worry about attendance. If you have attended this session, we know that you have attended. And a sincere thanks to everyone present here and participating so well and so continuously through the chat. I'm really sorry that we could not, sort of allow you all to unmute during the session because of the number. But we are really happy with the enthusiasm that you all have showed today. And once again, a big thank you to Bhanu sir and best wishes for tomorrow's session.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure it will be an enjoyable experience as well. So
Thank you.
thank you one and all.
Thank you. Have a great evening, teachers. Thank you.